Story 1. I started taking Adderall after receiving a formal diagnosis of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Instead of feeling anxious and depressed about not getting things done, I began completing my tasks and found myself tired by the time I put my son to bed. I fall asleep at a reasonable hour and set an alarm to take my morning dose 1 hour before I need to be awake and functional. Note: I grind my teeth during sleep more than before. Story 2. I would wake up in the middle of the night and stay up until morning. I started putting on a comedy show like Family Guy on the television when I woke up, and it helped me drift back into sleep. I still do this to this day. Story 3. I stopped drinking anything with caffeine after noon, stopped eating after 8 p.m., and drank more water. Story 4. I got pregnant and then I would just pass out for 10 hours every night. This is obviously not a solution that works for everyone. Story 5. I stopped drinking alcohol for 3 to 4 nights a week. Deep, peaceful sleep on those nights compensates for the restless, heartbroken wakefulness of the other 3 to 4 nights. Story 6. I took several steps to improve my airways and hormones, and I developed excellent sleep hygiene. I underwent sinus surgery. I received a palate expander to widen my face. I participated in myofunctional therapy. I learned Buteyko breathing, which I wish I had started with first. It was affordable and very beneficial. These efforts helped me stop using my continuous positive airway pressure device. I had my hormones tested and started using progesterone cream. I get natural sunlight and fresh air every day. I put away my screens an hour before bed each night. I maintain regular bedtime and morning hours. I practice relaxation techniques. All of this contributes to the high-quality sleep I hadn't experienced in over a decade after having children. Story 7. I had about 10 years of severe insomnia. I would go 2 to 3 nights in a row without any sleep multiple times a week, week after week, year after year. I took many medications over the years and tried every sleep therapy and sleep hygiene recommendation available. My problem wasn't solved until I discovered I was vitamin D deficient. After 2 months of taking vitamin D, I was sleeping soundly for over 8 hours almost every night. My doctor couldn't believe it. I am very happy to have finally found a solution. Story 8. I have experienced bad sleep my entire life, and I am now 70 years old. Cannabis has worked the best for me. I take an edible before bed. I have tried all the prescription medications. I have not had caffeine in 40 years and consume very little alcohol. Story 9. Exercise is a great first step. Take melatonin pills or gummies. Avoid alcohol. Do not eat or drink 2 hours before bed. Avoid screens in bed. Establish a bedtime routine. Story 10. Meditation and therapy, along with stretching, flossing, and proper hydration, contribute to overall well-being. I believe that poor dental hygiene can be a subconscious irritant. Therefore, flossing and brushing before bed can be relaxing. Story 11. Delta 8 gummies work for me. Even though I still have trouble falling asleep, once I do fall asleep, I rest for 7 hours without waking up. Story 12. If I do hard physical activities during the day, I am likely to sleep well. If I do not have much physical activity, I am usually unable to sleep well. I believe that is the biggest factor. Additionally, I ensure it is dark, have cold air blowing on me, and try to lie down and sleep by 10:30 every night, whether I feel sleepy or not. Most of the time, I end up falling asleep. If racing thoughts keep me awake, I listen to an engaging but not overly stimulating audiobook using sleep headphones. Story 13. I started to smoke marijuana before sleep. I never had issues staying asleep, only getting to sleep. It has been pretty great since I started doing that. Story 14. I used to be quite an insomniac, struggling to sleep and then struggling to wake up on time. After having a baby who wouldn't sleep for about a year, I found that since she started sleeping through the night, I have been sleeping much better. Getting just 3 hours in 24, interrupted by night feedings, really hit the reset button for me. Story 15. Not trying to sleep when I'm not really tired. The doctor said it was okay to sleep about 6 hours a night if that's my natural rhythm, so I stopped going to bed early, and it worked like a charm. Story 16. lifelong insomniac. I have tried every medication and sleep study available. I work out until I pass out. It is frustrating because I have insomnia and feel exhausted, but I sometimes spend hours on the treadmill until I can no longer stay awake. Now I have a job where I am on call or working around the clock, which keeps me exhausted enough that I don't need the treadmill. The same concept applies. Exhaust yourself. Story 17. I try to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, including weekends. I also have a smart bulb that is scheduled to gradually get brighter about 20 minutes before my alarm to help wake me up gently. I found it's easier to get out of bed when the light is already on compared to waking up in the dark. Story 18. For me, it was anxiety medication. It turns out that sleeping is difficult if your brain is in a constant state of alarm. Story 19. I got sober. Honestly, reading for about half an hour before bed always helps me. Staying asleep can be tricky, but it's not impossible. Some nights, I sleep with an eye mask while listening to an audiobook on my AirPods. Story 20. Drugs are nothing fun or exciting. I take 1 to 2 over-the-counter pain relievers at night. I take them consistently at the same time so I get drowsy around the same time every night and don't wake up from the pain as much. I still do sometimes, and at that point, the night is ruined. Story 21. Magnesium supplements, avoiding staying in bed when restless by going for a walk around the apartment or doing stretches, and simple mindfulness exercises like counting sheep can be helpful. Story 22. Yoga taught me how to control my breathing, consciously relax, and quiet my mind. I practice 20 to 30 minutes of light stretching before dinner, finishing with savasana, which is the corpse pose where you lie down and focus on your breathing. After this, I feel relaxed for the evening and usually fall asleep within 5 to 10 minutes. Story 23. Anxiety medications help me fall asleep and stay asleep. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I can quickly get back to sleep. Story 24. The main goal is to have a regular sleeping schedule. I have determined that my minimum sleep is 7.5 hours, but I feel best at 8.5 hours. I wake up at 6 every morning, so I go to bed at 10 p.m. each day. The body needs time to adapt, but it is worth it. Caffeine compromises my sleep, regardless of the time it is consumed. Caffeine tolerance and addiction have the same effect, even if I do not consume any throughout the day. An overall healthy lifestyle with enough mental and physical activity keeps me calmer, thus improving my sleep. Staying away from drama prevents sleepless nights filled with worries. Overeating should not happen past 4 p.m. You want your stomach to be comfortably full with a balanced meal, not completely stuffed or filled with gas. Sufficient humidity in the air helps as well, but I recommend avoiding noisy humidifiers. Instead, place a damp towel on the radiator or in a well-ventilated area, as it helps ease breathing. However, the most important thing is to establish a routine, even if it is not optimal. The body needs signals to know it is time to rest. Story 25. Sleep hygiene is essential. The most important practice is to go to bed at the same time every night and wake up at the same time every morning, including weekends. Other recommendations include keeping the bedroom cool. If you wake in the middle of the night, do not lie awake for more than half an hour. Get up and read a book. Avoid screens and caffeine after 4 p.m. Story 26. I started drinking milk and eating yogurt about an hour before bed on a nightly basis. My sleep routine adjusted so that I fall asleep at the same time every night. Story 27. Ditch alcohol. Go to bed earlier and generally at the same time. Experiment with bedding. I now know that my feet cannot be even slightly cold for me to sleep, and my body needs to be neither too cold nor too warm. For that reason, I do not sleep in cotton for most of the year. Proper thermoregulation has been very important. Story 28. I wake up early. After 2 days of waking up at 5:45 a.m., I can't stay awake past 9 p.m. The house is quiet in the morning, and I can watch what I want without the kids being awake. Story 29. I used to have insomnia and needed medication to help me sleep, but now I close my eyes and I'm out right away. My bedroom is for sleep only, so no television. I limit phone time before bed, which isn't perfect. and try to read on my Kindle instead. I'm in bed at the same time each night within 30 minutes, and the minute I feel tired, I close my eyes. If I feel tired before the usual time, within an hour, I go to bed. I have a sleep mask and earplugs if needed, but if I'm really not sleeping, I get up to change my environment. I sit on the couch and read, and if I fall asleep there, great. If not, I go back to bed and try again. I have used sleep stories on the Calm app and a sleep binaural beat playlist, which my husband dislikes, and rain noises, which is our compromise for better sleep. It's also important to learn the amount of sleep that makes you feel refreshed. My husband can function on 5 to 6 hours, while I need 7 to 8. Sleep studies suggest not to snooze, avoid naps, and wake up at the same time every day. I don't strictly follow this. Instead, I allow myself a 15-minute grace period. Story 30. Insomnia is one of the issues that disappeared when I switched to a gluten-free diet. There were times I would go a whole 2 weeks, sleeping only an hour every other night. Now I simply lie down and fall asleep. Autoimmune disorders can be quite unpredictable. Story 31. It's a long process to find what works. For me, it started with establishing a routine, waking up and going to sleep at the same times. I also began reading before bed. Then I added earplugs, which helped significantly. After that, I incorporated a daily walk, which was even more beneficial. With all that, I can get a decent night's sleep most of the time. I tend to wake up with my mind racing, but overall it's manageable. Then I discovered cannabis, and that became the solution for me. A nice indica edible allows me to enjoy a few wonderful hours without racing thoughts, and then I can easily fall asleep. It's fantastic. Story 32. When my wife is out of town or staying at her boyfriend's, I take care of myself before I go to bed, and I sleep soundly. Story 33. An episode of the sitcom of your choice playing at a very low volume in the background. My favorites are The Office and Trailer Park Boys. Story 34. Blackout eye mask and curtains help create a sleep-friendly environment. Use ASMR in headphones to block outside noise. Focus on finding the optimal number, size, and location of pillows that suit my shifting sleep positions, whether I'm sleeping on my stomach or side. Story 35. Avoid foods high in tyramine late in the afternoon or for dinner, such as red wine, aged cheeses, salami, pepperoni, cold cuts, tomatoes, soy sauce, and avocado. Learn daily meditation techniques to quiet the mind and relaxation techniques, with many videos available online. Consider taking magnesium glycinate before bedtime. Story 36. I lost 50 pounds and stopped snoring. I removed any light sources that weren't red from the bedroom, don't watch television or use electronics in bed, and make sure to go to sleep at around the same time every night. Story 37. Mystery Science Theater 3000 presents a perfect balance between being interesting enough to entertain and bad enough to ignore. It consistently works well, except for episodes like Space Mutiny or Final Sacrifice. Story 38. Using a sleep mask, avoiding food close to bedtime, and consuming caffeine only in the morning are helpful strategies. However, the biggest trick I learned was to pay close attention to my physical feelings while trying to fall asleep. If I felt uncomfortable at all, I would reposition myself or change blankets to achieve the right temperature. I realized I had been ignoring my physical sensations and attempting to will myself to fall asleep, which often backfired. Another important tip is to keep the bedroom cool. One way the brain signals that it's time to sleep is by cooling down. Story 39. I started stimulant medication for attention deficit/hyperactivity disorder. Now I have a consistent routine and I'm usually asleep by the same time every night. My sleep quality is better most of the time. Story 40. I have struggled with anxiety for some time and used to experience panic attacks every night related to my work while trying to fall asleep. The most significant change has been starting to exercise and eat a healthier diet, along with transitioning my job to a fully remote position. I discovered that working in an overly bright, claustrophobic, and uncomfortable environment was very stressful for me. Additionally, turning off all electronics by 8 p.m., usually by 7 p.m., and reading before bed has also helped. Story 41. consistent winding down routine at the same time every day, regular exercise, brown noise machine, a few supplements, cool room, no alcohol, waking up at the same time each day, spending more time outdoors, and maintaining a clean diet. Story 42. Lost 80 pounds with diet and exercise. Once my diabetes was under control, I stopped snoring and stopped getting up 5 to 6 times a night to use the restroom. Additionally, not eating poorly helped prevent acid reflux from troubling me in the middle of the night, so that issue disappeared as well. Story 43. Honestly, the thing that helped me the most was my morning routine. Putting away my phone in the morning and getting out of bed to follow a routine means I feel tired at the same time every night. The evening activities started falling into place once my mornings were structured. Story 44. 1 milligram of melatonin, a good sleep mask, and sleep buds, although any earbuds or earplugs would work, along with white noise from a machine or a fan, can help improve sleep quality. Story 45. Earplugs. They're what I imagine heroin is like. The sounds fade away, and you can blissfully let go. Pure heaven. Story 46. I watch physics interviews or lectures, but at a low volume with closed captions on. I don't mind if the content is difficult. It's interesting to me. It's like reading a book in the dark. Story 47. I moved. The first night in a safer place, free from disturbances and without a mother who would lose control over minor inconveniences. Greatly improved my sleep and mental health. Who knew? Story 48. I financed a really nice mattress, and it was an instant game changer. It cost $2,500. I went from tossing and turning every night for up to 2 hours to asleep in 10 minutes after lying down. When I started exercising and eating right, I was able to fall asleep in just 3 minutes after experiencing the energy from a full night's sleep. It was great. Story 49. I gave up caffeine. Less than a week later, I went from spending hours crying from frustration because I was so tired but couldn't fall asleep to falling asleep in less than 10 minutes every night. It's been 5 months now, and I will never go back. I miss coffee now and again when I smell a really good one. I tried decaf and didn't sleep for 2 days, so never again. Other than that, it's been fairly easy. On the rare occasions I feel I need a boost during the day, an apple perks me right up. I have also experienced the added benefit of reduced anxiety and stopped the eye twitch I had been dealing with for 5 years. Story 50. Exercise, avoid bright lights at night, use a heating pad to lie on, and go to bed at a regular time, getting 8.5 to 9 hours of sleep before I need to wake up. Additionally, limit alcohol consumption. Story 51. I had a sleep disorder. Diagnosing and treating it worked fantastically. In my case, it was delayed sleep phase disorder. My body wanted to go to sleep at 2 a.m., making it nearly impossible to fall asleep earlier. This condition is treated with melatonin. Sleep disorders affect about 1 in 5 adults. Story 52. 2 things improved my insomnia significantly. Vigorous exercise 3 times a week and relocating my bed to a dark, quiet part of the house. Story 53. I lived alone for many years and had poor sleep. I found a partner who goes to bed early and wakes up very early for work. I went from very poor quality sleep to going to bed at 8:30 p.m. and waking up at 4:30 a.m., feeling refreshed and ready for the day. Intimacy right after bedtime really helps with sleep quality. I feel so much healthier these days. It has been a total game changer. Story 54. No caffeine after noon. Take magnesium glycinate twice a day in the morning and an hour and a half before bed. Avoid bright lights or screen time for at least an hour before bed. Maintain a consistent bedtime in a dark, slightly cool bedroom. After decades of insomnia, I now sleep through the night and wake up without an alarm at almost the same time every morning. Story 55. Eye mask. I bought it to manage brightness in the summer after we removed the blackout blinds, which were causing mold due to the damp weather. I made sure it was soft, with built-in bumps to give my long eyelashes space to flutter during REM sleep. Took a few days to a week to get used to it. Now, putting the mask on is a signal to my brain. I put it on and I'm asleep in 10 minutes. Anywhere. It used to take me a minimum of an hour to fall asleep. I am so impressed that I bought one for my dad, and he loves it too. Story 56. I got an hour ring and started paying close attention to my sleep scores. It provides an in-depth report every morning. I followed the recommendations and began getting much better sleep after a couple of weeks. Story 57. I don't watch television or play games in bed anymore. Bed is only for sleeping and intimacy. Now, when I lie down, my body knows it is time to be tired. Having a good pre-bed routine helps as well. Story 58. A low dose of kratom, 1.8 grams, a low dose of THC, 2.5 milligrams, and mouth tape, 1.5-inch strip over the center of my lips, have absolutely changed my life over the last year. THC helps me fall asleep, kratom has cured my restless leg syndrome, and the mouth tape keeps me breathing through my nose at night. Story 59. I wouldn't say I get great sleep now, but it has significantly improved by enhancing my sleep hygiene. The bedroom needs to be cool and dark. Avoid screens and reduce lighting at least 30 minutes before bed. Try to go to bed and wake up at the same time. Even on weekends, you can push it back a little, but not too much. Using an edible a couple of times a week helps me too, but not every night because it disrupts REM sleep. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.